types of animals in food. So so what they can do is what they've done is they've coded more than 100,000 types of animals they're looking at because animals have unique DNA sequences, especially, and in this case, they're using mitochondrial DNA sequences. And they translate this DNA sequence into a code, like a barcode, okay? So that what they can do, once they have this code, what they can do is every time they take a piece of a particular type of meat, let's say they go to the supermarket and they see a label says, this is canned tuna or whatever it is, and they want to make sure it's really canned tuna. It's not like another type of fish that they substituted. All they have to do is take one piece of that meat, they put it in the machine, and the machine can read the code based on the DNA sequence, and they know, oh yeah, it is actually tuna, or no, it's actually not tuna, things like that. And some scientists thought, hey, this is very good data, right? We got all these DNA sequences from all kinds of animals. Let's do some studies on them. So this is actually done by a couple of evolutionists. So these two, Dr. Mark Stokoe and Dr. David Thayer, they are evolutionists, and they looked at all hundreds of thousands of these sequences, and they found something very shocking to them, not to us, but to them. They found that in analyzing the barcodes across 100,000 species, the researchers found a telltale sign showing that almost all the animals emerge about the same time as humans, right? So this is very different from Darwin's idea. Because what they did was they look at the changes in the rates of mutation of those sequences, and they found that those rates are very similar for so many animals. And that means that if that suggests that all started around the same time, and they were very shocked. In fact, this is what they were said. They said this conclusion is very surprising, and I fought against it as hard as I could. How does one explain the fact that 90% of animal life, genetically speaking, is roughly the same age? Well, I think it's very easy to explain, right? If God created all living things about 6,000 years ago, and of course, over time, there will be some changes in those animals, but so it would be not be surprising at all that genetically 90% of all animals have the exact same age. So this is perfectly agreeable to the biblical data. But of course, for evolution, this is a big problem, because evolution says that there's a tree of life, and the branching of the tree came at different times in history, and animals cannot possibly be like. But if God created, then all animals started from the beginning. Now there's some branching. Okay, there's some branching. So some, because there are changes that occur in living things. So not all living things today are exactly the same as they were in the Garden of Eden. But majority of them would genetically start from the same time. Okay, so this is wrong, and the Bible is right. And actually, more about remember I just talked about how Darwin was wondering about the lack of intermediates or transitions among species in the fossil record. But guess what? We have the same problem in genetics. Because in genetics, what they can do is they can study the different genetic sequences of different animals and see if there are some transitional forms in between, right? Some animals that are genetically halfway between one or another. But this is what they found when they did the DNA barcoding study. It said another unexpected finding from the study: species have very clear genetic boundaries, and there's nothing much in between. If individual stars and species of galaxies, said Thayer, they are compact clusters in a vast empty sequence space. And the absence of in-between species is something that also perplexed Darwin, he said. So not only are there no in-between species in the fossil record, there are no in-between species in the genetic record either, okay? So Darwin is, unfortunately, Darwin was hoping for future discoveries to overturn his present reality, but that did not come through, right? So what is Darwinism based on? His claims, nothing more and nothing less. There's nothing else to back up those claims. Okay, So you can see that actually all these truth claims, there's serious issues here. But what about the Christian worldview? What about Jesus' claim? I mean, is it any different? Are we being hypocritical when we say, well, there are issues with these other claims, but isn't Jesus doing the same thing? Like Jesus said to him, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Well, Jesus isn't it just based on Jesus' words?